Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is a video, a little bit of an update here on the games that I am looking forward to coming out in the next months across this period of the apocalypse. There's uncertainty, there's release dates, some don't have them, some do, and there might be some surprises and hopefully some places that we come together with some correlation that you'd like to see yourself. So, there's a lot of games coming out, guys, that I'm probably going to look at and I'm probably going to check out and see what I can do with them. And if I end up surprising myself, I'll cover them, I'll make some videos, I'll stream them, I'll do something with them in whatever the manifestation it happens to be. But the games that I myself are actually interested in and looking to in the future are this list as follows, in no particular order. So the first one I have on here is Black Ops Cold War. And if you know much about me and my feelings when it comes to Call of Duty, you'll know that I'm constantly looking to get back in. You know how Carlito got out and then they pulled him back in? Well, I got out and I kind of want to go back in, but the games just aren't bringing me in because the last one was one of the worst CODs ever made and it fucking sucked. And I still bought it because I thought it could be good because it had crossplay, and it turned out it was awful. So I'm in a few minds here. I really like Treyarch, even though I feel like they have a complete doomed production cycle for this particular Call of Duty. And then when you add production problems, COVID, it combines into quite a cocktail of how can this game be good when all is considered. And judging by what they've shown on the alpha and the beta that's coming in a couple of days, I feel like this game it stands no chance, but I want it to succeed purely based off the fact that I didn't really like the look of Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and I ended up putting a lot of time in that game, and it was far better than I gave it credit for initially. So there's a weird optimism inside me that's going to soon turn into caustic pessimism and nihilistic cynicism, and I'm going to hate myself for it and wish I'd not done it, but you never know, right? And worst case scenario, it does have a campaign which I can cover, which could be fun, and it does have zombie mode, which zombie mode is usually decent even if it's terrible, so we'll see how that goes. But that is the first on my list here of something I'm quite looking forward to, in spite of the fact I absolutely shouldn't. Then we have Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. So this is a unique one because this is two things that you wouldn't really expect to go together that well, but if you played this series, you'll know that in certain worlds you actually did a little bit of this. There were certain mini-games in places where there was rhythmic, timing-based song moments, and they're making a game based on that, and I come from a background of enjoying rhythm games, and I also like Kingdom Hearts, or at least I used to when I was quite young, and putting those two things together could lead into something quite unique. From what I've seen, there seems to be a bit of a mixture on reception here. There's people that think it looks interesting, there's people that think it looks boring. I actually saw this game on a video that was done, which was actually a fake video that someone on the internet made, and they went all to the effort to make the game look a lot more interesting than it actually looks when you watch official gameplay, so I thought that was quite funny. But I love the music of Kingdom Hearts, I think the soundtracks are superb. There's something really special that captures my youth and reminds me of when I was younger, so I will always be a fan of Kingdom Hearts, even if I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 was a little lacking in many ways. And I think this could be a nice way to rediscover some Kingdom Hearts, and it's in a different style, so I say bring it on, and I look forward to sharing it. And then the next one is Yakuza Like a Dragon. So this game is actually already out, and if you're willing to import, you could have had this game for the last 2 years, but this is the most recent Yakuza game, and it is a turn-based RPG. I've actually played the Japanese demo on my PlayStation, and it's going to be really unique for me because I've played a lot of the Yakuza games, I'm quite a fan of the series, and this one is going in a completely fresh and different direction, and it's going to be a launch title for the new consoles, and I think it's even going to be going on PC, so I'm going to be playing this on PC, and I'm really excited to see what they do. I can't say enough about this franchise. If you've never tried it, you absolutely should, and now is the perfect time to do so. It's just unique in so many ways, and you might not think it's for you, but when you try it, you realise that there's just something really special and magical that this game does. Because not only does it manage to give you a story that you might care about that's actually quite well written and interesting and has some twists and turns, but it also combines it with gameplay rather than it being at the mercy of the gameplay. So not only do you get a story, but you also get a game. And in 2020, we're not really getting games, we're getting these social experiments, and I just don't really understand why anybody would want the industry to go that way, but it seems to be what's selling, and much like the plague of microtransactions, it's not going anywhere, guys, it's just going to get worse. And then the next game on this list is Cyberpunk, which I don't really know too much about Cyberpunk because I think it got delayed, didn't it? And it probably needed that because when we were watching gameplay, I love the idea of it, I love the sci-fi, I love the open world. I'm a big fan of what they did with Witcher, so I feel like this is going to be something really, really cool. But admittedly, I did think the combat looked clunky. I did think that some of the gameplay looked quite dated. I thought the game itself didn't look as great as it's been presented in other presentations. So hopefully they'll have the time to go in there and make it better, make it worth the wait, and we could be sitting on a real gem. And I'm definitely going to be streaming that because it's just going to be such an interesting situation. The singularity of Cyberpunk is going to be the place to be, dude. And then a more recent addition here, guys, on my list is Prince of Persia Remake. For those that don't know, I was a big fan of the original trilogy of Prince of Persia. My favourite being the second game, Warrior Within. And I think these games do not get the credit that they deserve because I think that they were doing platforming at such a high level at the time that you can see games that have been made in the last 5 years that do not adhere to the standard, the quality, or the feel of the platforming that was in that game. I think that game was very much ahead of its time, and unfortunately it was sacrificed on a nice burning longboat to the gods of Assassin's Creed, and the franchise that would continue to spout out games ad nauseum until everybody was so sick of them that now everybody's complaining that they all look the same and they are the same, and we don't really know what to do with it because Watch Dogs didn't come in there and repeat the cycle, because at this point, does anybody care about Watch Dogs? Probably not, even though the second game was pretty good. But Prince of Persia deserves the spotlight again. It's been a long time since we've seen one. It's been a long time since we've seen one that I thought was of the best quality. And this trilogy, unmatched. The first game especially, wonderful storytelling, wonderful charisma and dynamic between the characters, fun gameplay, puzzles, combat, everything about it is going to be really, really interesting. And I hope they do it justice because this is a game that deserves it. I remember buying this trilogy of games for my nephew when it was his birthday when he was younger because I wanted him to have that awesome experience of being a younger person and playing a game that was a little bit older than what he was, so that he would be able to look back on it when he was older and say, that was cool. And he's now a young man, so there's been many moons have passed since that day, and I don't know if he looks back on it fondly. I hope he does, but I know I bloody do, and I'm looking forward to see what they do here, and hopefully you guys are too. And then the final thing on the list, guys, is a rather predictable one. It's Ys 9, Monstrum Nox. So Ys is a series of games that I recently got into and got really, really passionate about, played the living shit out of them, really, really like this franchise, think it's easily probably top 3 in my all-time favourite JRPG franchises, because it has some of the tightest, most interesting and fun combat, and it's all tied into the Japanese systems of something like a classic Final Fantasy that I really, really enjoyed and have enjoyed for a long time. And the most recent game has been out a while now if you wanted to import it, but it was of course Japanese and console locked to the PS4, and I heard that the performance wasn't great. And I played these games on PC, and I don't really want to play them on console as much as you can have a decent experience there, so I've chose to take the patient route, and I'm going to wait for it to come, and I'm going to sing its praise, and I'm probably not going to cover it on the channel, because the last time I did that, I loved it, but nobody else did, because nobody really cares about Ys, nobody watches it, nobody was really engaged with that whole project except for the people who, you know, are really into the franchise, and it's just, the time it takes to make something like that to the response that I got from it, it's just not worth it, unfortunately. However, I will be playing the shit out of it myself, and I will be streaming a lot of that, hopefully. And that's my list, guys, and there might be some gasps and some awe and some surprise that you're like, oh, what about this, Chris, what about this? Chances are, I just don't really care, you know? Modern gaming, at this moment in time, is leading me to an immense amount of lethargy, because I just don't think it's pushing in the right places, and it's focusing on the wrong things, and it's leaving me by the wayside. But that does not in any way mean that I do not love gaming, and that I'm not interested in gaming, because it gives me the opportunity to look for the things I do like, and there's tons of stuff to discover if you're willing to look for it, and I'm really enjoying the indie scene and the alternative scene and the games that take years to port over here, because they don't have that big of a market here, you know? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's something for everybody. That's the joy of the internet. That's the joy of consuming video games. When I was younger, I wanted to play everything, but I couldn't because I didn't have the access to it. Now I can play anything, and I don't bloody want to, because most of it's a shower of shit. But what are you excited for, guys? What do you want? What is the thing that you're eagerly anticipating? What are the games that I need to be covering that I haven't seen or I haven't spotted, and I'd be insane not to do so? Please feel free to share those with me, and if you want to get into a discussion on my stream about it, you're always welcome. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.